Okay, guys, just came back from a family reunion, and one of the questions I was getting from family members who don't watch my channel but just wanted to get caught up with what I'm doing is, what was the coolest listening room you've been in, period, but basically this year? And I had to think about that for a second because there's so many options, but I have the answer, I think, today. Okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. Going to continue my series on all the audiophile dealerships I visited in 2025 that I haven't been able to release yet. And by the way, it's on the eve of 4th of July weekend. Not sure when you're watching this, but happy 4th of July to everybody. Want to go ahead and talk about this dealership because it's applicable to the question I mentioned in the intro. What is the most impressive listening room I've been in? And it's a tough call, and I can't say for sure which is my favorite. It all depends on the gear, the room, a multitude of factors. But definitely on that short list, if not the top of the list, is Chris Hesse's room in Dallas, the Euphoria Audio. Now, it was featured on my channel several times before under the Rhapsody Audio banner, and he has rebranded and carries some different brands today. So I thought this visit was very applicable to update you guys on because it's definitely worth visiting. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to hear this amazing gear in a super dedicated, well-treated room. Includes some of the RD Acoustics room treatments that I featured in a recent video as well. The hybrid diffuser that they have on the wall, mega dollar, but it's super impressive, and those rooms sound great. And one of the takeaways, he's got two rooms, but they're not identical. As you walk from one room to the other, you will have a little bit more reverb in one versus the other. So you can basically judge your room at home based on which one of those is more applicable to your room and get a sense of how the equipment sounds. But the amount of effort that he went into to design that room, it's covered in detail in one of my prior videos, but we talk about that today. And I also give you some music clips because one of the other takeaways I want to share with you is that he's carrying Kroma speakers now. And Kroma may not be known by a lot of people, but after listening to him, hearing him at shows, hearing him in this cool environment, well-treated environment, I think it's a brand that more people need to start paying attention to. So I think you're going to enjoy this update. Be sure to see Chris. He also carries that Argento outlet, the $5,000 outlet. He's a dealer for them, and he says he's got customers that he lets them take it home. If they don't like it, bring it back. Nobody's brought it back. But you'll hear a little bit more about that and all the other brands he carries, and I'll be back here soon with a lot more. Alrighty, guys, I'm at Euphoria HiFi. While I was in Dallas doing the potpourri install, decided to come see Chris with his new venture, see what he's carrying now. As you recall, this is, maybe I'll link the video. This is a custom built listening room. How thick this is, bigger than my hand, totally insulated, the doors. What's going on, Chris? And then those are the RD Acoustic.
RD Acoustic.
RD Acoustic. This is the one I'm going to get with the 3D absorber / diffuser. But yeah, this is pretty impressive. Really nice. You've got two of them. Yeah.
So these are in inverse patterns on either wall.
On each side. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a massive piece. So I'm going to be putting in RD Acoustics in my Airbnb. But while we're here, let's take a look at some of the new brands you're carrying and gear. I see Stenheim, Kroma, let's see, CS Port, and even some Dartzheel. So let's just go through maybe even some Kaisers, which you've had before.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's start with these Kromas because these are actually quite a good bargain, huh? You were saying.
Yeah, I mean, amazing bargain at $24,000. You can get them in a variety of different colors, just custom painted. You can change the side panels on all the Kroma loudspeakers. You can change the side panels. And this is a rear ported design. The cabinets and the entire line are made of something called Creon, which is basically, if you grew up in the 80s, you probably had Corian countertops in your home. This is very similar. This is a new Spanish version of Corian, basically.
Well, yeah, that's exactly
what stone.
That's exactly what potpourri uses now too.
Are they?
Because the finish can be perfect without worrying about these painters and some of the flaws. And some purified drivers.
So these are Purify paper and pulp cone, 2.5 way speaker with an AMT Mundorf ribbon tweeter on there.
And a pretty good form factor, can fit in most homes.
And do not let their size fool you. These sound huge.
Yeah. Really good power handling with the purified drivers. Yeah.
And then Stenheim, which is a brand I've had for about a year, is Euphoria. These are the 5 SEs. This is their best-selling speaker for good reason. It's gotten worldwide accolades. Just an amazing speaker at this price.
What is the price on this?
About $75,000.
Okay. Yeah, I've been very impressed with the Stenheim rooms at all the shows and cabinet construction, and yeah, you would break your knuckles on that.
And it's a very, natural live kind of sound. It's not hi-fi sounding, right? So we're not playing this game that I call paint by numbers, like we pick apart every single thing. You can do that if you want to, but that's not the way that either of these speaker brands are voiced, or the Kaiser Coeros on the outside too.
Right.
If I want to listen to digital hash all day, I could do it if I want to, but that's not what I want to do.
Well, a lot of people do tune their speakers for a tipped up end so that in short demos it sounds more detailed or more exciting. But yeah, you definitely want something over the long haul that's more neutral and faithful to the music. So the Kaiser, we filmed these last time. I think we even listened to them. These have the Panzerholz.
So the entire cabinet is Panzerholz.
And that's one of the few in the world that make that. I think one of the only ones that does full Panzerholz. Yeah.
And again, ribbon tweeter. And these are using a woofer on the backside and a passive radiator on the back, which gives you a semi-open baffle type sound to the speaker.
Right.
That you don't see very often anymore.
Yeah, and this, because it's Panzerholz, you can cut large cross sections out and you don't reduce the stability. If you had MDF and you cut this much out and only had this much baffle left, it would be a much more frail structure. Panzerholz is basically like bulletproof plywood, and I've long been a fan of that being a speaker cabinet material. And kudos to Kaiser for being one of the few to do it, one of the first. So that's really cool. And then, of course, aluminum is the more traditional best cabinet type material nowadays. So, yeah, you've got that covered. And quality of speakers and drivers, purifies among the best. So, yeah, these are definitely ones to consider in those budget points. Maybe take a look at the CS Port stuff. I don't think a lot of people know about CS Port. Made in Japan tube equipment that, power-wise, what are they looking at here?
So these are actually a stereo amplifier. It's a stereo amplifier.
Uh-huh.
You can run it in mono mode if you want to, or you can run it in bridged. So I have 2 of them here, and typically what I'm doing is I'm running them in bridged.
Gotcha.
So into 4 ohms, we're talking 40 watts.
Okay.
And into 8 ohms, we're talking 60 watts in that configuration. They, again, are very, very powerful. I used to sell condo when I was part of Rhapsody, and it's a completely different sound. You know, if you love Kondo, you're going to love Kondo. But this kind of crosses that bridge where it almost, to me, sounds like a hybrid tube amp. Like it has the drive and control of solid state, and it has the beauty of tubes mixed in with it. And they're achieving that, I think, through a very unique power supply that they're using in all their gear.
Okay.
Basically, what they do is they come in, and when the power comes in, it's running through a switch mode system. Okay. And everybody says, oh, no, not switch mode, not switch mode. It's terrible. But what they do is they then take that power from the switch mode power supply, because it's so much faster than a toroidal transformer, if you will, that they're dumping it down to a toroidal that runs only the analog circuits. So the switch mode is only to build reserves of power very fast and replenish everything really, really fast.
Okay, so that's an interesting design, probably taking advantage of the power factor correction of switch mode power supplies. And so that's probably pretty heavy if it's going both power supplies in there.
I mean, those are about 40 pounds. They're not backbreakers. But the guy who designed CS Port spent 45 years, maybe 50 years, designing power supplies for aviation, aerospace, military installations in Japan. So that is his forte, if you will, and it really shines through in the product. I mean, if I didn't tell you that was switch mode, you'd never know.
Right.
You know? And then obviously we have Dartzheel here.
Yes.
So Dartzheel, there are some signs of life now on the horizon, thank God.
Some signs of life. It's very cool looking, and has had some acclaim over the years, but I guess ran into some financial issues or whatever. But it looks like they're gonna carry on. Definitely a unique brand, both styling and sound-wise. Pleasure Control is one of the really cool. And then you got some Pilium, Taiko.
So we're using a Pilium DAC in here and running a Taiko Extreme with the switch in this room.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and you even have some esoteric stuff.
There's an esoteric, there's solution. I still have some Kondo stuff.
Okay. And what cables are you using here?
So now, exclusively, I'm using Argento Cables.
Oh, yeah. In fact, you were going to show me the outlet.
Yes. So
we got to see that.
We're going to get there for sure. But in this system, it's all Flowmaster reference, which was their statement product, 8 years ago. And then the Extreme came out and obviously took its place, price-wise and performance-wise, but beautiful silver cables, beautifully finished. You won't find heat shrink, you won't find solder, you won't find any of this stuff on any of these cables. The guy draws his own silver. These are 6.9s silver.
Well, that's tough to get.
And the Extreme is 7.9.
Oh, wow.
So, and the Extreme is basically a higher grade silver, and then there's like 3 or 4 times as many conductors in that chain.
Wow. Yeah, I still have to release the video, or maybe this one will get released before that, or vice versa, from the Musical Artisans party where you were and I was, and they sell it as well.
Well, Ricardo is the distributor.
Distributor
for Musical Artisans.
Okay.
So, but you'll find, again, no heat shrink. All these are custom machined in their own shop. Solid silver spades, as you can see. Mm-hmm. This is, this isn't off-the-shelf components that they scab together some silver and
somebody doing it in their garage, buying Theoretica connectors,
So everything is made in-house to extreme standards. And that is what I have for this room.
Yeah,
we
that's
have the Stenheim 3 SE as well in here.
Okay.
So, again, those are in the 45 range.
Okay.
So 24, 75-ish, 45-ish.
Okay.
And then the Kaiser current retail on these is somewhere around in this configuration, because you can get them any color, any gloss, any veneer you want, but the current configuration here is about 95 to 100,000.
Yeah.
So, and then the wall treatment in these rooms
Is the Kaiser stuff.
is Kaiser acoustic again, and Jason's been over this before.
Yeah.
But they're
You got the
using
perforated.
microperf.
Yeah. You got to get right up on them, but there's perforations here. Kaiser makes this. RD Acoustics is the one that does those, but this is Kaiser Acoustics. So, yeah, I looked at how much Panzerholz costs. So, people may laugh at these prices, but it costs a lot to make these speakers.
Well, and there was a room you covered at Expona.
Uh-huh.
Our Acoustics,
Yeah.
AUER, and those Ricardo is not at Musical Artisans, is now the distributor for that.
Oh, yeah,
as
okay.
well. So he and I are bringing in those speakers. Those are again 100% Panzerholz speakers with an aluminum plinth on the bottom, and those are sealed cabinet.
I know, that's my favorite.
And they're using some crazy drivers in there.
Yeah, I was very impressed with that room.
Blisma diamond tweeter.
Yeah.
That's like 32 millimeter or something. I don't know, it's crazy.
When you see people that obsessed with the room treatment stuff, then I feel more comfortable about them with everything they do. So,
Sure.
Yeah. So, that was impressive. So that's cool. Here we got the Big Daddy Chromas that I heard at Capital Audio Fest. These were impressive. What model is this called again?
This is the Turandot.
Turandot. Okay.
So this is part of the reference range.
Got
There
a
are 3
rear
models in the
AMT.
reference range. And again, 100% Creon cabinet. They're using, again, AMT Mundorf out the backside on this configuration with 2 12s, 2 6.5s, and a larger AMT ribbon on the front.
Really cool. Yeah, these sounded good in a tough room at Capitol.
That room is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. And then here, this is the model you had at
That's the model I had at Southwest.
Southwest, yeah.
This is the Mathilde.
Purified.
66,000-ish in white, and special colors add only $1,500 to the retail cost. So they're not gouging on special colors. And again, this speaker is 100% Purify, and I believe it's the first commercially available
10-inch one.
loudspeaker with the 10-inch Purify driver on it. And as I was telling Jason earlier, these things hit harder in the bass than even these big boys with 2 12s.
Yeah, so that's a lot of people don't realize driver technology and excursion and all that can offset size.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool that a company is mixing and matching, and you get different options at different budget points. And you used to have in this room M9s from Magico. But I was remarking about how stylistically these Kromas have a very interesting look profile. It's very elegant, very classy. So if the M9s weren't your type of styling, some people find it a little too industrial or, massive. This is kind of another level of, it's a different sound, of course, in performance. You're going to notice some differences, but in a lot of cases, people may prefer this, both aesthetically and sonically, because it really is a very attractive looking speaker. And this goes for how much? 280 or something?
These are 280-ish.
Okay.
And again, change of side panels, change of color, change of
A lot of versatility.
inlays in here. You could do silver, gold, purple, whatever you want to do.
That's really important nowadays. People are not going to buy anything that doesn't look good at these price points. So, yeah. And the price point for these, the Mathilde, were what?
66.
66.
In
Okay.
white. So max you're looking at is 68,000 in a custom.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, these are really cool CS ports. You had these at Dallas, too.
Yes, at the Southwest. These are
Southwest, yeah.
These are the 212 monoblocks.
Okay.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to run them. We're going to run the Kromas first.
Okay.
On Pilium, on the big Pilium amp, which was not at Southwest.
Okay.
I couldn't lug 400 pounds.
No.
There.
Yeah.
But, and then we're going to listen to the Stenheim Ultime 2's vertical biamped on these 212 monoblocks from CS Port.
Okay.
And again, the CS Port turntable, the same one that was at
with the
Southwest.
Kuzma arm, yeah.
Kuzma Sapphire arm, My Sonic Labs cartridge. This little box garners a lot of interest, Jason.
The
this
DMAG,
is the static eliminator and DMAG.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that more and more at even the shows.
I brought 5 to Southwest. I don't have any more.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's good.
And then we'll run that with the CS Port phono stage and the CS Port preamp, obviously. Yeah. And then here is the Mac Daddy Taiko Olympus with I/O.
Okay.
So in this configuration, this is 100% battery powered.
Okay.
So in this configuration, all of the thinking's going on in this box.
Okay.
And then this is we're using an analog out card today.
Okay.
So there is no DAC. The DAC is in here.
Okay.
So we're not using an external DAC.
This
and they make it in multiple configurations, or they make it so it'll just output USB or AES or
go to your own DAC. Yeah.
SPDIF or whatever you want it to, whatever configuration you want. And then some custom designs for Aries Seurat. MSB, I think, has a link coming. Lampizator has a link that'll run on their Horizon. I'm not sure if it'll run on everything.
Okay.
But the DAC card built into this provides everything I could ever ask for in a DAC, period. And it's all in one box.
And what is the price point on that?
So unfortunately, prices just came up, but this right now is about 140 in this configuration.
Okay.
And we're using a Taiko switch, Taiko router, and the DC power supply in this room. Okay. Sorry, the switch is facing up. I was having some...
Yeah, so we have to not overlook, though, what I featured at Rick Brown's, the Argento outlet. That's about 5,000, but you said you've had several customers already and that swear by it. And I could not believe the amount of, just the weight and the amount that went into that construction of that.
Yeah.
Is pretty impressive.
So it's going to be hard to see, but and I'll get you an outlet so we can take it apart and look at it. And we'll show you how the whole thing goes together and everything like that. But basically, these are solid copper, or solid silver. I'm sorry, exact same silver that is in all the extreme Argento range.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that level of purity, all silver contacts there.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate tweaks. I really, really do. And I was apprehensive to put that in my system because I was like, what, this thing can't do that. And it costs a fortune. And I hooked it up and I was just blown away. And I called the distributor and I said, yeah, I need 10 more of these outlets now. And they've been selling like hotcakes here in Dallas. So, and a bunch of people are using them, not just Argento customers, but I have a Turnbull customer using them. I have a Vita customer, a brand I used to sell, that Bob in New York distributes. He's using them now. And then just random people. They ask me what it is, but basically it's solid silver and it has a locking collar on it. So what it does, it's locking your connection in place. Over time, these things start to droop and whatever. And then there's some vibration control built into the housing of the outlet. And then back here, what we're doing, because I don't have enough plugs, is we're running to the Argento Extreme power distribution center. So this is 8 of those outlets in one single strip. Again, all extreme wiring inside.
Yeah. So the outlet alone is like 5,000.
Correct.
I mean, here's the deal, guys. I know it's going to be triggering to some people with the price, and I don't blame you. But the thing is, I've covered in Dallas. In fact, Dallas coverage, I talked about the importance of outlets. Now, in that show, I recommended, in fact, somebody gave me a Hubble outlet, medical grade. This is not the traditional tweakware. It's not provable. There is science behind. If that plug is starting to come out, you're going to have sags, you're going to have resistance, you're going to have issues. We saw it firsthand in the Tampa show. The outlets were so poor, we were losing bass like mid-song because it just falls out of the outlet. This is not something to overlook. I always talk to people about where you're hearing the most difference in cables most of the time is in better connections, better connector quality. So is this extreme? Is this over the top? Of course, but that's what this hobby is about, having these type of products. So if you can afford it and want to try it, this would be something I think I can try it one day with Chris's help and give you guys a report. But there is some merit to having better connections here. Scientifically measurable. It just depends on what your budget can tolerate. And if your budget can, this is now pretty much the new standard for an outlet, and it's super cool. So I hope to have more on that in the future and see what the hoopla is all about. But actually, Rick told me he already installed his, and I got the anecdotal report. He's a believer now. So anyway, slowly but surely, we'll see how it plays out. But Argento is definitely something to keep an eye on. What panels are you using here?
So this entire room is Kaiser Acoustics.
Kaiser only, okay. And even the ceilings have
ceiling. And again, that's all micro perf there. This is a patented quadratic that they came up with. And as you can see, the depth on this panel is, 1.5 inches instead of 6 inches. But if you look at inside these recesses or feel inside there's different cutouts.
Right.
The depth is different. The hole size is different.
Yep.
Which creates this diffusion.
Yeah, I've not been a big fan of the traditional splash plates that really do nothing. They're just thin. It actually probably works against you. But this is like a true purpose-built. No, I wouldn't even call it a splash plate. This is actually true part of the room treatment. So kudos to Kaiser to going the next mile. All right, guys, that pretty much, we can show the power because just in case people didn't see that from my last video, you went through a lot of effort to isolate the rooms from any issues.
So we have the Taurus power.
Yeah.
This is a 100 amp unit.
Yeah, there's 2 of these basically.
There's one for each showroom.
Yeah.
And basically this runs only the audio circuits inside the showroom.
So nice.
And then everything else is on the main, just the commercial panel there.
Yeah, that's massive, guys. So, this is the way you want to demo equipment in this kind of environment. It's in a warehouse park. You have to make an appointment, but again, it's well worth it to do this kind of, when you're talking about equipment of this price point and performance, this is what you have to look at, So next up is going to be music clips. So let's do that. I'll put that in a separate video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks, Chris.
You.